Yeah, so since I've come to USC, I've had a number of people make their way to my office to talk about this paradigm called entertainment education, which has a long history in this town, right? And then basically it's about embedding pro-social messages or medical information into fictional programming. And maybe in the most interactive versions of it, there's a tag at the end that says, if you want more information, contact this nonprofit organization. And maybe beyond that, there's a teacher's guide that builds on that. Usually builds on the information being mined, but not actually on the fantasy that's embedded in the program. This is important work, and many of our Annenberg colleagues are engaged with it. I'm not critical of it, but I'm not sure it's kept pace with the kind of new relationship we have to television, to our popular culture, and to what I call participatory culture. It's so much focused on passive consumption of information and not active participation into the stories and experiences that entertainment enable for us. So in my book, Convergence Culture, I use this term cultural activator. And what I'm suggesting is that television or other media doesn't just draw a like-minded audience around it, but increasingly the audience is seeking things to do with the entertainment content. In a participatory culture, they want to build on that entertainment content and carry it in new directions. And so for 20-something years, I've been studying fan communities and the ways they build on the raw materials pop culture provides them. And I now can connect that to the work I've been doing with the MacArthur Foundation on digital media and learning, to think about that as a learning space. So I want to talk today about a very powerful franchise, the Harry Potter franchise, which is going to be on everyone's mind because the next and final film in that series comes out this summer. And much of the coverage is going to be about this as the triumph of mass media, the triumph of new forms of marketing, the triumph of telling stories across media. All of that's very interesting. But I want to argue that Harry Potter has represented a powerful platform for learning that we can learn a lot from as we think about the intersection of Hollywood and education. So the cliche is that a whole generation of kids learn to read by reading Harry Potter. And there's a lot of truth to that. And that process was shaped by scholastic books policies of embracing the educational and library community and really trying to build on the success they were having with that story. It's a story of teachers and librarians who took it and localized those concerns and embedded into their classrooms. And I was lucky enough to read a forthcoming book by Rebecca Harris Stevenson and Catherine Belcher called Teaching Harry Potter, which tells some incredible stories of educators who customized what they did with Harry Potter in their own classrooms. Teachers of at-risk kids, teachers of minority kids, teachers of immigrant kids, special needs kids, who found ways to help those kids find their way into this book that many of them thought was a white kid's book or whatever, and to sort of show that there were lessons there and points of purchase there for that generation of kids. And what's chilling about that book is it tells us what happened to those teachers, and almost all of those innovative programs have gotten shut down in the age of standardized education because they didn't meet standards and expectations of school systems about what books to be taught and what the goals of teaching and reading are. Beyond that, the untold stories, the generation that grew up writing through Harry Potter, right? And I've written in Convergence Culture about the hundreds of thousands of kids who've written original stories set in the world of Hogwarts, stories that can be short as a short story or hundreds of page-long novels. And I talked to 13, 14-year-olds who published their first novels on the web, who participated in a beta reading process where kids and adults alike responded to each other's stories and built around them, and they got feedback from it. Other people have written about ESL students who learned English in this process. This is the powerful part of building a participatory culture around an entertainment franchise. I'm now working with the Spencer Foundation to do a white paper on the Harry Potter Alliance, which has taken this the next step beyond that, which is to teach kids how to become social activists, political activists, through their engagement in the world of Harry Potter. That Andrew Slack, who's here at the conference with us this today and tomorrow, he'll help sort of frame this metaphor of Dumbledore's army as a model for activism for the next generation. And he argues the story of Harry Potter is a world gone wrong, a world where the adults aren't sure what to do, where the government is lying, the mass media is covering it up, the school is becoming increasingly repressive, and students organize on their own to tackle evil, to change the world, to show what power they have, and to be transformative forces in the society around them. And he turns to young people and says, if we had a Dumbledore's army for our world, what would be the evil that fought? How would we fight it? How do we mobilize together and build on this community that Harry Potter has built to take it to the next level. And we're finding what the research we've done so far shows this is a model that is incredibly successful in getting kids who are not politically active, who don't have the usual markers that lead to political engagement, involved in civic and activist processes. And we're learning a lot from them about participatory culture. As the Harry Potter mass marketing closes, they're moving to form the Imagine Better Foundation, which is eager to partner with all kinds of media franchises and mobilize fans to change the world. So as we think about those, that's three different dimensions that the Harry Potter enabled by tapping participatory culture, the grassroots energy, the bottom-up creativity of everyday people to build around the franchise. Much of that not done with hostility from Warner Brothers. Warner's early on tried to shut some of this down. It regrouped, and under Diane Nelson's leadership really tried to reimagine what those relationships can look like. So the first thing Hollywood can do is do no harm. Don't shut this down, tolerate it, allow it. Beyond it, though, it can lend resources and support to some of these kinds of activities that I think can make a difference. On the school side, though, we have to stop shutting this stuff out, right? We have, right now, there is a big participation gap in this country, which is part of the achievement gap, but goes beyond it, which is kids not having access to these skills to meaningfully participate. And schools and libraries are going to be the place that's settled, but that requires opening schools and libraries to participatory platforms. And right now, YouTube shut down, Facebook shut down, Wikipedia is discouraged, blogging and LiveJournal are discouraged in schools. And that's what we have to turn around if we're going to enable a real partnership between the entertainment industry and participatory culture. Your fantasies will fuel the activity, but kids need the resources and skills to build on them to change the world.
Thank you, Henry.
Yeah.